It's a new camera. Does it look better? Do I look sexier? You can tell me. I see. I see them nips. Oh my god! Look at this guy's nipples. They're out of control. So Dune. I know when my nips get rock hard, I like to talk about Dune. So I watched the Dune movie. I also forgot to turn the sound down on machines. But that happens sometimes. And so do movies. Every now and again, movies happen, and then I have to come on here and talk about. I don't have to, I guess, but I mean, new camera, just diamond solid nipples, all around. So I guess we got to do this here. So I watched the Dune movie, the new one, the 2021 Dooney Dunes, and I got to tell you, I am not the man to talk to when it comes to Dune. I remember when I was 19 years old, a friend of mine, big time into Dune. He liked the books a lot. He liked the movie, like the original one and stuff. And I was like, hey, let me try it. He says it's cool. All right, let me do this. And I got maybe to like maybe 50 pages in, and then I ran out of scrap paper to keep track of all the shit going on. So I was like, this is obviously too advanced for me. I'll come back when I'm 41 years old, and here I am. Still didn't read the book. I'm still working on it. I'm still working on my vowels and whatnot. So we'll get there eventually. No, we're not. I don't really care about Dune at all. So you're not going to get a lot of like, oh, well, the book does this and the original movie did this better. I have seen the original Dune movie. I watched it a few times. I've probably seen it maybe like 3 or 4 times. I still am like, I don't. It just kind of, I don't know. I don't know. And it's weird. And when I went into this, I really thought about it because this this movie should have been all about Dave because I love desert planets a lot. Desert planets rule. They're great and stuff like that. And it's kind of a weird kind of post-apocalyptic blend with science fiction. Everything's dirty and fucked up looking and just kind of gnarly looking. And I I should be all about this. So I kind of didn't feel one way or the other. Dune. It's just kind of it never it never really got me. I can't. I couldn't put my finger on it until I watched this movie. And now I know why I am not a Dune head. What do they call Dune fans? Duners? I'm a Duner? Okay, Duner. Dune. Sand. Spoiler free review. Dune was, it was alright. It was okay. I, I kind of feel bad because a lot of my issues with Dune are purely 110% me. It's personal taste as opposed to, well, the movie did this wrong, the movie did that wrong. Um, and I think it's just as a product as a whole, right? Even the original movie, there's this reason, for some reason it's just not hooking me. I'm just not that interested in it. And it's not like the movie sucked or I hated the movie or the acting was bad or anything. I couldn't recall anything really like offensive, maybe besides the runtime of the original movie. But sometimes you got to have long movies. I got you. All right, that's fine. It seemed like they had a lot to do. Maybe they could have done it a little bit quicker. But hey, I'm not here to argue. So with this new one, I really wanted to give it an honest go. Can you see the wounds on my fingers? I put my hand in a ceiling fan the other day. Not my finest hour, but yeah. So I went into this and I was like, you know what? Let me really give this an honest go because I don't know what it is that I'm just not feeling attached to. with this particular movie, and people love it. You know, it's very popular, I guess. And watching this movie about halfway through, I finally got it. I finally understood why Dune just does not do it for me. But anyway, let's talk about the film, right? Again, a lot of my problems, I'm going to say this right up front. A lot of my problems with this movie is purely my taste, right? So okay, spoiler-free review. Dune was all right. I think a lot of people are going nuts about this movie and saying how great it is and how over the top awesome it is. I wouldn't go that far. I mean, even taking my particular view on this aside, which I'll get to, why it kind of doesn't work for me. Um, just as a movie as a whole, it's all right. It's okay. You know, it was all right. It was fine, I guess. But the issue I found, this is part one, obviously, right? It says right at the beginning, part one. So it's not going to do a complete story, right? And the way that they end this film is bad. It's a real crappy place to stop. And you know what? I think that with everything in this movie, if they just kind of shifted some stuff around, it would have really worked better and would have flowed in a much more kind of natural fashion than it does. To me, it seemed like somebody took plot points, like they took plot points, and then they chopped them all up and then just rearranged them and went, we're just going to film it as these scenes pop up, right? So it's kind of like it seems like they do a big battle climax with like an hour left in the movie, and then the movie ends on kind of a not so great fight. I understand it's a first part, so we can't get that, you know, um, we can't get that satisfaction of a whole story being told. But even with what they have, I think if they just kind of edited it, edited, I don't know why I thought I put an extra syllable or four in that word just now. If they, it just seems like if they just take what they have, what they shot, and just kind of fed it in a different kind of order, I think it would have been better. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. I don't think it's great. I mean, I think that some people are really like overdoing it. But again, it's fine. Like, all right, cool. If you think it's great and it's an awesome movie, okay. I wouldn't go that far, but I'm not going to hold it against you. Like, it was fine. It was fine. Some issues I had, but again, let me say before I get into my little nitpicks here, I know nothing about Dune. There's probably reasons for all of this stuff that somebody's going to angrily yell at me. That's fine. I don't know what's going on. All right. I am a child going into this film. Um, so actually, wait, let me start off giving the movie some good stuff. I'm going to spoil a whole bunch of shit now. The spoiler free alert, spoiler free review. Dune was fine. It was fine. I did not, I didn't hate it. I didn't not like it. I thought it was good. Goodish. I thought it was okay. Could have been better. And the frustrating part was it could have been better with everything they had. It just seems like it kind of does this and then ends on a right? So it just seems out of order. Like it seems like they have a solid movie in there. It's just presented kind of whacked out. And I'll get into specifics now. So we're going to spoil stuff now. So Dune, tons of sand. That's the twist at the end. That it's hot out. Okay. Maybe tell me. Let me ask you. Instead of me just coming on here and just barfing out all my problems, I'm going to ask you because I assume you know more about this than I do. You've probably read the books. You probably had a lot more scrap paper than I did when I was 19, and you probably know what's going on. Can somebody explain to me where all the fucking guns are? because everybody uses little rinky dink samurai swords or whatever, and there's this big ass battle, and everybody's running around with swords, and like not even swords. They're like, guys, look, I'm not a general or anything, but a couple of machine guns, space machine guns, would have really helped out. Like, would have sincerely helped out a whole lot during the whole battle. Well, I was gonna say the big battle scene, but there's like, you watch the big battle scene, and then there's like an hour left of the movie, and you're like, by what? Like, just get me and some of my boys and some AR-15s out there. Like, we'll sort this out pretty quick. They all got swords. They got swords. Get a cannon. Get a civil. You can get a Civil War regiment, just like one unit with like fucking muskets and stuff like that. Would clean house. And maybe it's like, oh well, the guns, something with their goofy shields they use. They need to use the swords. I don't know. Okay, fine, whatever. It just kind of struck me the lack. Like, okay, they're in space. They're flying around. I know this. They got some pretty jazzy tech running around. Can we get some bang bangs out here, please? Can we get some guns? Just a couple. Would have done a lot of people a whole lot. So many people would still be alive if they just had an Uzi or three. It kind of bothered me for a while there. I just didn't understand it. You know, you have all this. Anyway, that's an issue. That's an issue for me that I found in this movie. You know, tell me if there's something I missed or they explained it or whatnot. But something good that they did for a retarded noob like myself going into Dune, I think they did a really good job of explaining it. Like, I never felt lost. There's a lot going on, but the way they presented it, the way they laid it all out in a very easy to understand fashion, so that even if you don't know much or you didn't read the book or you didn't see the original movie or whatnot, you're still in there. You're like, okay, well, I can follow this. I don't really need to take a class on this, you know. And that's good. That's great, because there's a lot going on here, and the way it kind of unfolded was well done. So that's cool. That's what I was worried about. I was worried that me not knowing a lot about this would go in there and just be like lost, staring at the screen for 2.5 hours. So bravo, good job, or brava. Which one is it? Brava. I've heard both. I'll say brava because it sounds Mediterranean. Do you think I was gonna say that? Probably not. Okay. So where are the guns? That's a pretty big complaint of mine. So now the reason I don't I just don't feel for Dune. And I was sitting there, I'm watching the movie, and I'm like, okay, first of all, looks good. Acting's good. I mean, casting, I don't know. Like, I don't know these characters, so I don't know if they did a good job casting, but seems all right to me. So acting's good, cast is good. They're explaining things. I'm not lost in this world where all this shit's going on. That's good. The story's pretty cool. It's interesting. That's neat. The special effects or whatever the fuck are good. Everything's good so far. Why don't I care? And then it hit me. I don't care about Dune because Dune has no heart. Now, what I mean by that is, I don't care about the main character. I don't care about his mommy. Well, I kind of care about his mommy. Anybody? I don't know. I thought Mama Atreides was... That's fine. I like to check out her pain box, if you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I just didn't care about a single person in this movie. I do not care. There's a distinct... I don't know if this is on purpose. I don't know if that's what this is going for, but everybody seems morose and in agony just to be alive. There's zero joy in this film. And I don't mean like it has to be over the top, people singing and dancing and stuff like that. Um, but that's the only way I can explain it. There's no heart to this, if that makes sense. Now, again, I'm not saying like it needs to be Star Trek 4, like a fucking rom com for fuck's sake. And I love Star Trek, but Star Trek 4 sucks. I'm sorry. I will fight you on this tooth and nail. It sucks. Yeah, funny, haha, funny, hee hee movie, but it ain't a Star Trek movie. Those take place in space, in the stars. Anyway, can we just talk about Star Trek 4, please? No? You're going to make me do this, Dune? All right, fine. But say what you will about Star Trek. It's got heart. You care about these characters. I didn't care when anybody died in Dune. I didn't care when Papa Atreides died. If the main character, if Kid Paul in Dune walked outside and burst into flames and exploded like a Mortal Kombat fatality where there's like multiple pairs of ribs and stuff like that all over the place, I would just have went, it happens. I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Yeah, there's no link. There's no connection. I don't care about anybody in Dune. I don't think Dune wants me to care. Dune is a Vulcan, is what Dune is. Just distant, cold, alien, unfeeling, and doesn't want anything to do with you or your problems. Dune is gonna sit there. It's going to show you a well put together film that you are not gonna feel anything about because everybody seems miserable. Nobody wants to be there, and okay, there's a part at the end where Mama Atreides is like, she's talking to the Fremen people, the Desert Wanderer people with the blue eyes, and then she's like, I got to get my son off of this fucking rock. You guys got ships? Let's go. And then the Fremen were like, no, the desert is our home. It's like, leave. It sucks dick here. What are you proving? Exactly. It would be like if I slept on a bed of nails on my balls all the time, and I poured honey over myself and unleashed fire ants every single night. And somebody came in and saw me do this. And they said, Dave, that's a lot of honey. That's a whole lot. But I got to do 2 coats, But anyway, and they came in and they saw me. I'm on a bed of nails, naked. My nuts are just impaled all over. I'm sorry for being graphic and sexy. And then they look at me and they're like, Dave, the honey, the ants, the nails. There's a couch, right? Just get up and go on the couch, Dave. And I'm like, no, this is my bed. Like, what do you prove living on this shit world when you can leave? It's not like they're stuck here. I just don't get it. This horrifying place with giant worms, and it's boiling hot. People die in the heat, and they look like they're starving and dying, and just go. No, the desert is our home. Find another one. So I didn't get that. I don't think anybody in this film, for the most part, I think that what's his name, Duncan, Aquaman's character. Wait a minute, Aquaman, Dune, the water, and oh my god, I get it now. I understand now. When he died, it meant nothing to me because like you he didn't do anything. I thought the fight scenes. Now, if you're going to have like a bunch of knife fights and shit, they I was like, "Oh, this is going to be sweet. There's going to be some cool like some really good fight scenes." And I really it just seemed like a bunch of guys running out there and wildly kind of like there wasn't any. I was just expecting some cool kind of space dagger fights, I guess, and they were just like, get him, charge, rock. I don't know. Was it me? Is it me? I was expecting to see something memorable, like a cool, memorable fight. I didn't really get that. I didn't really get that at all. So when Aquaman died, I was like, I don't care. When Paul's father died, oh well, it happens. I guess good. He's out of his misery. Like hopefully everybody dies because nobody's having a good time in Dune. No. Now maybe it's me because when I watch science fiction movies, especially, you do it to escape. You do it to get away. Why would you want to get away to this place? If it was like Dave, would you, Dave? All right, so I play like role playing games and stuff and Dungeons and Dragons and all that shit because obviously, look at me. But they have a Dune role playing game, and it's like, hey Dave, don't you want to live in the world of Dune? No, no, never, never. I'm better off here. I'm better off here. And look at me. Look at this place. And I'm better off here. Please let me stay. Please don't take me to Dune. Dad, don't do that. Don't Dune that. Don't Dune me, bro. Again, that's a big time me thing. Maybe if you're out there and you're like, no, Dave, that's what's so great about Dune is that it's so alien. Like it's so gritty and stark. I don't know the right word to use, but it doesn't seem human. Like, and I don't mean that in a good way, if that makes sense. It's just I just can't get into it. I can't get into it. I don't care about anybody, but I don't think they're meant to be cared about. And I guess I get it, but I don't get it at the same time. It's like, okay, then why are we here? If anything, the bad guys are the victims, right? So the Harkonnens, by the way, if I can be serious for a moment, when will Hollywood stop oppressing my people? Not all bald fat people are evil. But House Harkonnen, the bad guys in this film, they're all bald and they're all gross. Haven't we suffered enough? Haven't we been oppressed as a minority enough? Fat, bald, gross people? Legal action. We shall rise up. But the bad guys, in quotes, were in charge of the planet Arrakis, right? And they were like mining the spice, and spice is like juice. Spice is like apple juice, yeah. So the Harkonnens owned the apple juice mines on Arrakis, right? So they had all the good stuff. They had like mots, and they had like honest kids, that shit. So they were rolling in the deep on that applesauce tip. So they were rich because of the spice or applesauce. Apple juice, spice. You say tomato, right? So they were in charge of the planet. They got rich there, and then the emperor of whatever group they're in, the Imperium or whatever, was just like, you know what, Harkonnens, you don't own that anymore. I'm going to give it to these fuckers. So it's like, so the Harkonnens got the shaft then. They got ripped off. Through no fault of their own, they got this lucrative planet just swept out from under them. And the Harkonnens, being the evil, bald people they are, said, all right, and packed their shit and left. And they're the bad guys? But the Emperor is afraid of the Atreides family because the mom's really cute in a weird way that Dave likes. So the Emperor wants the Atreides to fail, and the Harkonnen and the Atreides they fight with swords. And if I had one Civil War cannon, I would be God. I would be the god of Arrakis. But I guess they don't believe in projectiles in this future, really, per se. Yeah. So okay. The end. The big climactic fight scene, the final fight scene in this, is a small child killing a nameless NPC with a knife. I don't understand this. I don't get it. He's like, I'm going to find my destiny and live amongst your people. And then the one guy's like, no, you're not. We're going to fight. And then the kid's like, okay, fine. We're going to fight. And then they have a knife fight. The kid beats faceless, nameless person who I have no emotional attachment to. And then the credits roll. And I'm left with some questions. Again, I get that it's part one and you're not going to get that satisfying ending. How about this? Why don't you Empire Strikes Back it, okay? The ending should be the Atreides getting their fucking asses beat and the Harkonnen and those other guys, the Samani, fighting each other, and then, you know, like the big kind of, right? Don't you think that would be a better way to end it? And then you end it like Paul, like, okay, so they you know, the dad's captured, and so the kid, you know, whatever, the kid is fleeing into the desert, and oh my God, look at what's happening to our heroes. Their house is scattered and destroyed, and oh my God, what's going to happen? We'll have to tune in to part two to find out. But they did all that, and then there's like an hour left. And then he goes into the desert and he has a knife fight with a homeless man, and that's the big bad? That's the raid boss of Dune? Some guy? It might as well have been me with like a bone or something. Right? And if you're out there and you're like, well, Dave, it wasn't that bad, can you name the guy? You probably can't. You probably can't tell me that guy's name. The big last boss in the thing. So it kind of puzzled me. I mean, I wasn't upset. I really didn't care that much because I don't care about any of these characters. I don't care about any of the houses. I don't care about anything because they're simply not meant to be cared for. And I don't understand that. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. So, when I first read Dune, or tried to read Dune when I was 19, right over here, it just sailed like a comet over my young little mind. And now that I'm old and gross, I watched it, I understood it, but my care level is still the same. When I was 19, I was like, I don't fucking care, but I don't care enough I don't care enough to take extra credit courses to understand all this. Now that I'm older, fatter and wiser and balder, I understand it, but I still don't care anymore. Because that's the joke. That's the trick of Dune. Dune's not a movie, see. Dune is like an experience where at the end it's like a mystery. Dune is the Kobayashi Maru of film because you watch it and then at the end you're like, I'm not supposed to give a fuck about Dune. Dune should just be called Black Pill. Dune Dune is void of emotion, and it's so strange to me because what is the core of this film, right? What is this dealing with? It deals with family, like fucking family, fathers, sons, mothers, the relationship between all of them. How do you take that all important, like that very human drive, and make it as cold as something cold? How? It's almost impressive to me. I almost want to say, you know what? Good job. Good job. You took this movie about like the family legacy, family pride, young person grow filling out his father's shoes. You somehow managed to, like a vampire, slurp out every drop of soul out of this potentially very soulful story and made it clinical and gross and kind of like demoralizing. Dune demoralized me. And maybe it was supposed to. I cannot remember. I honestly cannot remember a movie I've seen in my life that made me feel this way. So maybe I'm, and again, it's a taste thing. I realize a lot of the things I'm bringing up, it's just kind of a me thing. So that makes a lot of sense. But I'm dying to know because I'm dying to know, did it do anything for you as far as, I don't know, like, I watch the second part? I guess, but I know. Well, actually, I won't say I know. I doubt very heavily. I doubt very highly that I'll get that kind of sense of relief when things play out and things happen. Because remember before how I said the Empire Strikes Back thing, right? How you can end a movie on a super down note, but there's that ray of hope, right? Like, God, I gotta see these guys win. But maybe Dune can't do that because in Star Wars you fucking cared about everybody. Like, you cared about these people, right? Empire Strikes Back, they did it so well, right? Han Solo gets frozen, Luke gets his fucking hand chopped off and his ass fucking beat. Everybody's fucked up and beat to shit. But there's that little little tiny ray of hope there. Dune, you get the beat to shit parts like crazy, and everybody's getting betrayed and fucked over and fucked up and miserable, horrible, awful day after day is torture. The Fremen are living in this fucked up world for some reason. When they have ships to leave on, they're spitting on the floor, they're puking all over each other. I don't understand. I'm sitting there. If I was, I just picture myself in this movie and I'd be like, guys, let's get the fuck out of here. Like, no, but we need the spice because it makes us rich. Rich to buy what? House Atreides is the mightiest house in the galaxy. And no one smiles. There's not a smile or a hug to be had. How about this? Keep the fucking spice. All right? I'm going to go to whatever planet the Orions are on. and I'm gonna get wasted and laid. I mean, I have to pay for it, obviously, but it will happen. Dune. I don't know. I'm sad now. I gotta go for like a walk in the sun or something after all this. Maybe I should watch Star Trek 4. Nah, it sucks.